So now we're going to talk a little bit about how you can create persuasive arguments. But before we do, I'm going to give you a quick overview of why it's important to be able to persuade others. So why does persuasion matter? Well, for a product manager, it actually takes a handful of people to build a product. And you work with all of them. But in order to build a successful product, the team needs to be aligned and moving together as a group in the same direction. But you don't have direct authority over everyone that you work with. So you can't just tell them what they need to do or believe. Instead, you have to convince them. You have to persuade them. So let's dig into persuasion a little bit deeper now. There are 3 different modes of persuasion according to Aristotle, a Greek philosopher. There's ethos, which is your credibility as an individual. This happens when you're qualified to speak on a topic, or after you've spent time working with a team, you will earn and gain the trust of your team. But this trust is also something that can be achieved through your personal character, background, and other achievements. There's also pathos, which is emotion and making your audience feel a certain way. And then lastly, there's logos, which is logic. And this is building an argument based on fact and data. These are truths that can't be refuted. The best messages have all 3. And it's important to think of these types of persuasion as interconnected rather than standalone. For example, having strong logic and data will increase your credibility. And using certain pieces of data might actually provoke an emotional response from your audience. You also can use well-placed humor to help you connect with your audience and gain more credibility. So, how can you build persuasive messages? Well, first, you need to know your audience. It's super helpful to understand who your audience is and what they care about. This allows you to tailor your message to specifically address those concerns. Next, you want to pick a viewpoint. Be decisive. Pick a viewpoint and explain why it's the best outcome. Too often, I've seen people try to explain all of the different options. This ends up diluting your message and creating confusion around what it is you're actually recommending. But having said that, you still will want to know all of the other perspectives and be ready to speak to them if they come up, including the associated pros and cons of each. You'll also want to be data-driven. Support your claims with data. You don't need to go over the top, but have a few key data points that can really help you to drive your message home. Another thing that's really important is to discuss objections. When objections or questions come up, don't try and dismiss them. This will actually make you seem defensive. Instead, have a real discussion around the merits of those other viewpoints and try to get the group to a consensus on them. This shows the audience that you care about their viewpoint and that you're also invested in getting to the best possible solution, whether or not it's your own idea. And lastly, you'll want to end with a call to action. So you just finished your presentation and you got the entire group aligned with your point of view. Make sure to wrap it up by outlining the next steps so that everyone understands what was agreed upon and what will happen next. Remember, you're not going to win every discussion, and that's okay. But over time, what will happen is you'll build confidence in yourself and how to best prepare. And the people that you work with will also build confidence in your ability to deliver.